raining. It was finally the day of the wedding. Unfortunately, it had to be pouring rain since morning. It's raining now.
でも、雨のち晴れって天気予報で言ってたよ。これから晴れるかも。
If it's going to clear up, I hope it does it soon. But there was something bugging me more than the weather. I hadn't seen Rimu-chan since this morning.
リムちゃん、いないの？
No. Where could she have gone? She promised she'd be sure to come today.
大丈夫。きっと来てくれるよ。翔一くんが信じてあげなくちゃ。
You're right. Okay, she's going to be here.
絶対来る。
If I didn't tell myself that aloud, I felt like my hopes would crumble. At that moment, a taxi showed up in front of the venue. Tamano-san and his fiancée got out. Tamano-san looked like he was a little nervous. Maybe from all the dozed days of practice and lack of sleep. But he had bags under his eyes. Good morning.
おはようございます。今日はよろしくお願いします。
Tamano-san looked around as he gave us the standard greeting. I could tell he was looking for Rimu-chan.
リムは。
Rimu-chan isn't here yet. It was hard for me to say I hadn't seen her all this morning. But Yoshiko-san probably picked up on the attitude since she heaved a deep sigh.
あの子ったら。大丈夫ですよ。リムちゃんきっと来てくれますよ。お母さんたちが信じてあげなくっちゃ。
Her mother smiled as Kanade encouraged them.
そうですよね。私が信じてあげなくっちゃ。
私も信じてるよ。
ありがとう。
Then please, make your way inside.
私が案内します。
Kanade led them off into the hall. Only 2 hours to go. Then rain didn't seem like it would let up soon.
それでは、エツジさんとヨシコさんの結婚パーティーを始めたいと思います。
She's a little nervous. Kanade was nervous and had this strange pitch as she began hosting the ceremonies. It had finally begun. About half of the guests were related to the bride and groom of their own families. The other half were from our staff. In addition, there were also a few of our regulars who we'd call out to. They probably came for the entertainment. I could see Kaguya-san amongst them. She even came in her uniform. She was surprisingly proper and well-mannered. We placed a sheet of paper reading free entry on the sign outside so we might have more people come later. I hope a lot of people come. But I still hadn't seen the most important attendee, Rimu-chan. What could she be?
それではこれより新郎新婦さんの入場です。皆さん拍手でお迎えください。
The two of them bashfully entered as they were greeted with great applause. After this, they exchanged their vows, greet the guests, and then it would be time for the opening act. Tamano-san was planning to show off the fruits of his practice. Rimu-chan, please be your seat.
翔一、リムはまだ来ないの？
No, not yet.
そろそろ翔一たちの出番だぞ。どうすんだ？
Greetings with their friends would be over soon. Then it would be time for the opening act. My turn was almost up. At the end, Tamano-san set off to show off his drumming. He's practiced hard every day until late at night for Rimu-chan's sake. But if Rimu-chan didn't come, it was pointless.
おい、どうすんだ？やっぱあいつ来ないんじゃねえのか？
I'm sure she'll come.
でも、もう時間ないって。そろそろ準備しないと。
The amount of regular guests who probably came for the performance was increasing, and the hall was becoming livelier. The two guests of honor were greeted with smiles and smiling back, but those smiles were off. It was because Rimu-chan hadn't shown up yet. I'm going to go look outside for a bit. I couldn't stay still, so I ran out of the hall. The rain was still pouring. It didn't show any signs of stopping soon. There weren't any signs of Rimmo-chan coming either. Rimmo-chan, hurry up. I prayed through the pouring rain.
翔一くん、リムちゃんはまだ
No, not yet. Don't you need a host?
今、よしこさんのお友達が歌ってるテントウムシのサンバ。
Ladybug Shamba. A standard choice. I laughed, but soon felt let down again. Rimmo-chan, do you really intend to no-show?
どうするの？もうすぐ出番だよ。
I just have to wait for now. At that moment, I heard the sound of footsteps running through the rain. They were getting closer.
リムちゃん！
She's here! Rimmo-chan! She came through this rain without even an umbrella.
疲れた。
Rimmo-chan, where were you?
これ、取ってきた。
Rimmo-chan showed me the long, slender case in her hand.
それ、ドラムのスティック？うん、パパの。
She went to go get her father's sticks, I guess.
本気の時はこれじゃないと。
Rimmo-chan was ready. Her eyes were challenging. She was going to be serious today. I couldn't ask for more.
とにかく中へ入ろう。びしょ濡れだよ。早く拭かないと風邪ひいちゃう。
Right, let's get inside for now.
翔一、出番！
Chika-chan came running out. Huh? I'm up!
リムちゃん、まだ今来たとこだよ。あ、来たんだその子。でもドラムは玉野さんがやるってよ。
Huh? Tamano-san did?
あいつ勝手なことして。
Rimmo-chan!
私たちも行こう。
When we got to the hall, Gonda-san and the others were already on standby on the stage. Tamano-san was seated at the drums. Besides him, planning to help him, I guess, sat Master as well.
どういうこと？パパとゴンダがもうやるって言って。
Master did?
リムちゃん、ちゃんと来てくれたのに。ちょっと！玉野、何勝手してんのよ！
Rimmo-chan shouted at the stage. Tamano-san smiled.
リムちゃん、来てくれたんだ。
そこはあんたなんかが座る場所じゃないでしょ。
そうだね。でもごめん、しばらく貸してもらえるかな。
何言ってんの？
リムちゃんに聞いてもらいたいんだ。
Tamano-san gripped his sticks as he put on a stiff smile. His lips were quivering from nervousness. And then the song began. Tamano-san moved his sticks with crude motions. Even a beginner could see that the drum's part was arranged to be very simple. He couldn't even say he was good out of flattery.
落ち着いて。そう、その調子。
But still, it did take proper shape. I was surprised to see he'd be able to come this far in just a few days, from a completely blank slate.
すごいすごい、ちゃんとしてるよ。
How did they clap their hands? Even our regulars realized the old guy who was a beginner is doing his best and began cheering him on. However, the one they wanted to enjoy was Rimmo-chan was crying at Tamano-san like he was an enemy from the blood feud. Rimmo-chan couldn't take it anymore and headed towards the stage. Rimmo-chan! It was already too late.
やめろ！
Rimmo-chan grabbed a nearby glass and hurled it on the stage. No! There was a scream mixed with the sounds of glass shattering. The drum stopped. Tamano-san froze on stage with his hands tucked low. There was a trail of blood flowing down from his forehead.
夏地さん！
His wife tried to run over. However, Tamano-san stopped by her, raising his hand.
大丈夫。かすっただけだよ。
チカ、救急箱持ってきて。
Chika-chan ran off to the office. The hall fell silent. Rimmo-chan looked at Tamano-san with a fierce glare as he bled. It was the first time I'd seen this look from Rimo-chan. I never would have imagined her making a face like this if I hadn't seen it for myself.
それはパパの得意だった曲だよ。パパの真似なんてしてどういうつもり？
The song Tamano-san had been practicing was Rimo-chan's father's best song. Maybe the video they've been watching during practice had been of Rimo-chan's father too.
ごめん。傷つけるつもりはなかったんだ。
Tamano-san practiced as hard as he could because he hoped to make you happy, Rimo-chan.
どうしてこれでリムが喜ぶの？
Rimo-chan threw another glass at the stage. But thankfully, Tamano-san avoided it this time, and the glass hit the wall behind him and shattered.
リム、ふざけるのもいい加減にしなさい。いい加減にしてほしいのはそっちだよ。こそこそパパのドラムなんてコピーして、それでリムに気に入られようとでもしたわけ？そんなんでリムが気に入るわけないじゃん。パパはパパだけしかいないんだから。
As Rimo-chan hurled her violent emotions at him, she began to cry.
そうか。そうだね。私の考えが足りなかったよ。傷つけてごめん。
傷ついてなんかない。リムは強いんだから。
More and more tears flowed from Rimo-chan's eyes. Large tears trailed down her cheeks.
知ってるよ。リムはパパに捨てられたんだ。
Oh man, Rimo-chan said all of a sudden. She wore a smile on her face, but she was crying. She was crying despite her smile.
捨てられたって。
あの子の父親は別の女性を作って出て行ったんです。
Her mother said with a crushing weight. Regardless of the reason, her father had gone off somewhere and left her behind. And Rimo-chan had always felt like she was abandoned because of that.
いや、それは違うよ、リムちゃん。君のパパは決して君を捨てたわけじゃないと思う。可愛い娘を捨てる父親なんて。
別にいいよ、慰めてくれなくて。浜野はいい人だから、リムたちを捨てたパパの気持ちなんて想像できないんだよ。
Rimo-chan smiled at Tamano-san for the first time, but her smile was filled with tears. Tamano-san twisted his face in pain.
私はいい人なんかじゃないよ。リムちゃん、君を泣かせてしまった。
浜野はいい人だと思うよ。リムが泣いてるのはリムが悪い子だからでしょ。だからリムはパパにも捨てられたのかな。
違う。それは断じて違うよ、リムちゃん。
違わない。リムはパパに捨てられたんだ。そうじゃなきゃ何も言わないで急にいなくなったりしないでしょ。
リム。
Rimo-chan stopped in the middle of this crowded hall like a lonely lost child with nowhere to go. No one could call out to her. No one knew that it was her second. Even I knew that I wasn't right to stay. But I couldn't let Rimo-chan remain alone. Rimo-chan. At that moment, several voices rang out. The ones who spoke up all turned to look at each other. Kanade, Yayoi, Kagoya-san, and
おい小娘。
Gonda-san. Gonda-san broke his silence and spoke to Rimo-chan for the first time. Rimo-chan raised her teary face.
そんなとこで見てないで。お前もこっちに上がってきたらどうだ。
Rimo-chan was bewildered. She probably never thought she'd be asked to come up on stage in this situation.
お前もドラムを叩くんだろ。このおっさんじゃ下手すぎて話にならねえ。お前が代わりに叩いてくれ。
リム？でも。
いいから早く。天野さんのドラムじゃこっちのリズムまで狂っちゃう。あんたドラムうまいんでしょ。
でもリムは。
Everyone called down to Rimo-chan from on stage. However, Rimo-chan couldn't move. She was frozen and bound in place.
もうイライラするわね。
Oh god.
リムちゃん行っておいでよ。
Kanade and Kaguya-san both pushed Rimu-chan back at the same time. Oh. Thumbnail right here. Rimu-chan, let's go.
菅賞。
I pulled Rimu-chan's hand and headed to the brightly lit stage. Rimu-chan looked up at the stage once more with teary eyes. Then Yayoi-chan reached out for her hand.
ウェルカム。言っとくけど、あんた一番下っ端だから。
Yayoi-chan grabbed Rimu-chan's hand, and she hesitated and pulled her up. Her light body was easily dragged up, and then onto the stage.
ほらおっさん、どけ。
はい。
Tamano-san quickly vacated the drums.
さ、リムちゃん。
Tamano-san turned them over, and she sat down in the chair he gave up to her. Her feet couldn't reach.
高すぎ。
She adjusted the chair back to fit her height and sat down once again. Tamano-san had set it up so it looked like everything was too high for Rimu-chan. Not just the chair, but Rimu-chan just took her sticks in hand. Is it fine like that?
まあいいや。
Rimu-chan said easily. She still looked a little out of it from all that crying. Would she be able to play properly like this?
おい小娘、ぼーっとするなよ。俺の音をしっかり聞いてちゃんとついてこい。
うん。で、何やんの？
これだ。聞いたことあんだろ。
The song started and Rimu-chan was still spaced out. She looked like she was dreaming after crying her eyes out. Gonda-san's bass rang deep to get her moving.
しっかり聞けって言ってるだろうが。
Rimu-chan regained her composure. I could tell she was looking at Gonda-san and trying her hardest to hear him as she beat her drums.
うん、その調子だ。
Gonda-san played his bass to his content. Rimu-chan matched her drumming to his line. And in no time, the rhythm blended and gave birth to a nice groove. They felt like they were two contrasting colors blending together and giving birth to a completely new color.
いいじゃんこれ。
I could tell Yayoi-chan's guitar was enjoying itself. Even I was getting excited too. The rhythm born from Gonda-san and Rimu-chan's rang deep in my body. It stuck deep and called to me. It felt so great. And I could tell my own guitar was joining in at that pleasant feeling. I felt like all four of us had suddenly grown closer than ever before. I felt like I could even understand Rimu-chan a little now, even though she was so alien before. It was the same with Yayoi-chan, and even Gonda-san. We were all born in different places and environments far away from each other, but strangely, we were all playing the same music. I could hardly tell if we were creating the music together or if it was just bringing us together as a band. And I didn't care about the questions anymore. Before I knew it, the crowd in the hall was going wild. Yay! When the song ended, the hall was filled with cheers. As we bathed in splitting applause, Rimu-chan heaved a sigh of relief.
どうした小娘、今にも昇天しそうな顔して。
リムのドラム、いつもとなんか違った。
It was different.
パパのドラムみたいな音、今まで一人で叩いてても絶対出なかったのに。
当然でしょ。やっぱライブだとノリが違うよ。ノリノリ。
ノリ？そうなんだ。
Clapping. I heard one round of delayed applause. It was coming from Tamano-san.
さすがにうまいね。あんな下手くそなドラムを披露してしまった自分が恥ずかしいよ。
当たり前じゃん。タマノがパパの代わりなんてできるわけないもん。
やっぱりダメかな。
He wore a smile, but I could see him heaving his shoulders.
当たり前じゃん。パパはパパだけしかいないんだから。
そっか。
Tamano-san's smile clouded over. He tried so hard, but his feelings hadn't reached Rimmo-chan. It was always an issue of someone else's feelings. The world wasn't going to change just because one person worked hard. But
だからさ、
Rimmo-chan broke the awkward silence and spoke on.
だから玉野はパパの真似なんてしなくていいよ。玉野は玉野のままでいい。
え？
だって玉野のドラムなんて下手くそすぎて聞いてらんないもん。
God. Rimmo-chan gave him a clumsy smile. It was another type of smile I had not ever seen from Rimmo-chan before. I didn't know she smiled like that.
玉野はさ、いいやつだから絶対リムを捨てないでしょ。
ああ、絶対にそんなことしない。私は楽器もできないし、特別な才能もないし、給料も安いし、人に自慢できるようなことは何もないけど、でもこの年になって自慢できることができた。可愛い娘ができたってこと。
可愛い娘かな。
君は私の自慢の娘だよ。私は絶対君の前からいなくなったりはしない。約束する。
じゃあ許す。玉野ママと結婚してもいいよ。
Rimmo-chan turned her cheek and pursed her lips as she said it in embarrassment. But still, those words she spoke with courage let her feelings be felt as Tamano-san.
リムちゃん。
リムでいいよ。でもリムは玉野のことパパって呼ばないから。
ああ、いいさいいさ。呼び方なんてなんだって。
Tamano-san was crying. Her mother was crying next to him, and so was Rimmo-chan. Oh.
いい話だね。
Kanade, quit your shit. Kanade was crying too. She was as easily moved into tears as ever. But this was great, truly.
リム、ありがとう。
ありがとね。
Rimmo-chan came back over to us, running away from the embarrassment of being thanked by both of them. You're done?
いいよ。どうせ家に帰れば毎日いるんだからさ。
Rimmo-chan said, wiping the tears from her face. It looked like she'd finally decided to go home again.
じゃあもう一曲やろう。
Rimmo-chan said energetically, wiping her tears.
じゃあ行くよ。おー、晴れてる。
When the ceremony was over and we all went outside, the rain was gone and the sun was shining down. The bands of light streaming through the clouds put on such a romantic scene.
天使のはしごだ。しかもこんなにたくさん。二人を祝福しにたくさんの天使が降りてきたみたい。
Kanade said romantically.
花出さんって乙女ですね。
そうかな。
Kaguya-san looked up at the beautiful sky as well. The way she looked far off, really suited her. I wonder what she was thinking as she looked up at the sky.
みんなブーケトスするよ。
Oh shit! I'm gonna catch it! All the girls turned around at Chiki-chan to shout. When I looked up, I saw Tamano-san and Yoshiko-san standing on the roof on top of the store. Yoshiko-san had her bouquet in her hand. I guess their idea was to throw it out this way from there.
じゃあ行きます。
The girls all braced themselves. I'm sure at their age, it wasn't because they intended to get married soon. But I guess it's something all girls admire. The bouquet sailed through the air. It flew in the air through the angelic sky. And I have to choose. Fuck!